Hey, 555ers, Andrew here. This video might be hard for some of you to watch. It might even be controversial in some watch enthusiast circles, but it's the truth. This is not clickbait. For more than a year, I stepped away from traditional wristwatches and switched to a Garmin. So what you can expect in this video is a 3-chapter story about my growing interest and transition into primarily wearing a Garmin smartwatch after wearing mechanical watches pretty much exclusively for the last 10 to 15 years. And I think what you'll find is that as I get deeper into the story, there's a personal element that is significant, and it's taken me a little while to articulate this in a way that I want to share with people. I think that you'll be surprised at the ending because there is a second part to this video. I will tell you that straight away, and that is part of the reason why I'm ready to make this video today. For the first chapter into my watch journey with Garmin is just what I would describe as surface consumer level attractions. Now, they are surface level if you're familiar with Garmin or you're wearing them, but if you're not familiar with Garmin, then I definitely have to talk about it because you're not going to understand the other parts of the video until I go through some of the things about Garmin watches themselves that really attracted me. Alright, well, on a surface level, one thing that I definitely am enjoying about this Garmin is the fitness tracking. Of course, you've got a heart monitor on here that gives you a sense of, in general, how your stress is during the day, and just in general, kind of whether you're in a situation that, in my experience, maybe merits special attention to breathing or anything like that. I have a lot of situations at work where sometimes knowing what my heart rate is at actually helps me perform better in my work. But beyond that, there's some amazing sleep tracking, and that's something that I'd never tracked before. I, of course, am not a smartwatch wearer, and Garmin has some very interesting aspects about its sleep tracking. It not only tracks how much you're sleeping, but the kind of sleeping that you have. And so what I found was that by wearing this watch at night, once I got used to wearing it, of course, it's a plastic body, very lightweight, very comfortable. The rubber strap is really about as nice as I've seen on any watch. It is showing some wear now, but it's got just enough stretch so you can really cinch it pretty tightly up against your wrist and still comfortably wear it. Beyond even that, there's another feature called a body battery, and this is unique to Garmin's, by the way, where it actually takes based on the health stats that it's able to obtain, it gives you a rating of how well you're actually doing in terms of your overall rest and well-being, and physical well-being, of course. And that's one thing that I had never really seen before, and it to me was pretty fascinating to get a third-party day-to-day opinion about my stress level, about my wellness, and again, just getting that extra information about myself. For a smartwatch, it has an outstanding battery, around 25 days I found, unless you're getting exposure to the sun, and then it's of course indefinite. On the surface level of my interest in this was another thing that I was very excited about, is I do have some athletic activities that I really enjoy, and being able to track these activities on GPS and have a way to log really specific, accurate information about the activity that I'm doing made the wearing of this watch very enjoyable. It gave me a lot more complete understanding of how I was doing with these various activities. The other thing that I liked about this was I was also doing some of these running, mountain biking activities, hunting occasionally in places where I really wanted to have some kind of track back feature. And that's again something that the Garmin's are really particularly good at, is giving you the tools to be able to trace back to the origin of your hike or your path, so that if you do go off track to chase game or do something else, you're easily able to find out what you need to do to get back to safety. Alright, as we get into the second chapter of this video, I'm going to be talking about some personal level things that to me made it appealing, even on a personal level, to continue to wear a Garmin watch more consistently. This is, I think, where things get interesting. If you're new to the channel here, this is my Hamilton Khaki Mechanicals. Perhaps my signature watch on this channel. It is just a beauty, and I've worn this watch for a long time. I really enjoy this watch. I've had it for 15 plus years, and it needed to be serviced again. This is the third time I've needed to service this mechanical watch in my years of ownership, and some people will say, well, okay, so regular servicing on a mechanical watch, that's not a big deal. It is, after all, hand winding, and you know, it has all the limitations that you can't help but expect to find on a mechanical watch. It's just an ETA movement. And okay, fine, I get that, but that doesn't mean that dishing out yet another $200, $300 on a service is something that I was excited about or looking forward to. So on a personal level, I was just feeling frustrated with some of the realities of owning a mechanical watch. And especially if you're owning a bunch of watches. Here's one watch, by the way, that I haven't needed service. I'm going to be doing an update video on this. This is my Seiko Turtle. Beautiful watch. Love this one. It's frustrating to have to try to keep a collection of watches all running properly and ready to go, and I find that with mechanical watches, I'm bringing them in for service much more than I would possibly expect. Another factor about my cynicism that is frankly not having to do with my watches per se, but just with the watch market, is the amount of conflict of interest in the watch hobby. And this is something that I haven't spoken a lot about because, of course, I've worked with all kinds of people that are wonderful people. But the truth is that a lot of times watch channels, watch companies have a vested interest in getting you to buy their product. And of course, that's true of all consumer products, so I'm not really talking about something distinct. The problem here is that the watch hobby is often framed up as an enthusiast hobby, when the truth is it's big business. It's very profitable to be able to sell a watch, especially if you can sell it as a result of a video. And so for me, it reached a point after a decade of just feeling tired. The other part that I've mentioned in previous videos is there's a lot of uncertainty around watch values. And so for me, it got to a point where buying watches that were really above, I'd say around the $3,000 price point, it just seemed like a financial risk. And yet, as I've grown more into the hobby, I've become much more interested in those high-end watches. Of course, the appreciation of horology is something that you can even appreciate from afar. And so for me to have this uncertainty about the future values of watches, that was something that was again a factor to lead me to just be fine wearing the Garmin. As we get to the third chapter of my journey into wearing a Garmin watch, I'm going to get to what I think is the deepest level that I can talk about with regard to my changing interest in mechanical watches going to this watch. And it's something that's more philosophical, so I hope that you appreciate the fact that I'm going a little deeper than I normally would, or that I think you would expect to see in a watch video. On the deepest level, though, I want to just share a story of something that happened to me that kind of opened my eyes. I recently had an amazing opportunity to trade my 72 Pontiac Le Mans for a 2012 Dodge Challenger RT. It's a 6-speed car, really fun, cool car. I've always wanted to own a Dodge Challenger, and this was just a unique opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime thing to actually trade in one car for another at equal price. And I pulled the trigger, and somebody commented after that I did that I just didn't seem like the kind of guy that would drive a car like that. And to me, that just rubbed me the wrong way. The truth is that a lot of times people associate character or personality with the things that you own or the things that you use. And I'm at a point personally where if I'm wearing a watch, it's because I like the watch. It's not because it's a reflection of my personality or some sort of like outward expression of identity. It is not part of my ultimate identity. Ultimately, identity is rooted in character, in virtue, and in purpose. And not unlike the story about the Dodge Challenger, I've had a similar experience in the world of watches. There's what you might call a sort of identity fixation that sometimes happens in the watch community that I think is worse than in other types of gear communities, and just makes me uncomfortable. That's a realization that I've had as I get more into my 40s, is that I really don't need to measure myself at all by my possessions or even how I'm using the things that I have, though there is certainly a place for appreciating these watches, and that again is a topic for another video.